welcome to Business Wellness. Today we have thought leader Dr. Nina Ahuja with us today, and she's going to be sharing with us how to drive your team to succeed. Hi Nina, how are you?
I'm doing well, Linda. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you for sure, and I'm really excited to hear some of your words of wisdom on exactly how you are driven to achieve and how you help your team to achieve. But can you tell me a little bit about what drives you?
Sure. You know, it's interesting. When I was first thinking about this, I came to answers like, I'm driven because I want to make a difference, and I love to learn, and it's just part of my nature. And I thought I need to dig deeper on that question, because while that's all true, it really doesn't get to the heart of the matter. So when I was reflecting on where my drive actually originates, I realized that it's quite to do with my mom and dad. And my parents, the way that they brought me up, the way that they brought my brother up as well. So to give you a little bit of background, my parents immigrated from India in 1971. My brother was 4 at the time. And when they came to Canada, they actually settled in Timmins, Ontario, which is 8 hours north of Toronto. Right. I was born a couple of years later and then lived there until I went to university. My parents lived in Timmins for 25 years. I left when I was ready to enter university at 18. So you can imagine the change where you're coming from India, which is tropical climate heat for the most part, to bitterly cold winters, minus 30-degree weather, tons of snow. That's a huge adjustment. And in addition to that, there are also all of the cultural adjustments as well, of coming to a new country and learning the norms and really trying to establish themselves as professionals in Canada, where they were established professionals in India. Yes. And so through all of that, my brother and I have often reflected that our parents really gave us a gift in how they raised us, having come to Canada as new immigrants. Their attitude was always, like all immigrants, work hard, take advantage of new opportunities, try to make a difference, try to give back. And so that was something that was instilled in us right from childhood.
A very young age.
At a very young age. Yes. And in addition to which, they've carried that through in how they live. I'm not even sure that they realize the impact that they've had on my brother and I through the years, where, even in Timmins, they were always involved in community organizations, wanting to give back. My dad was on various boards. My mom used to volunteer. And so that continued on right through till now, where in their later years, I'm not going to say their age because they'll get mad at me. But even now, my dad's been teaching at Sheridan College, teaching new immigrants the rules and regulations and processes of how to establish yourself professionally in Canada. My mom, through her various interests and hobbies, particularly now her passion for art, she's trying to raise funds to be able to contribute to, children's initiatives in third world countries to give them opportunities. So
they played a significant role as role models, probably not even aware of that.
Yes.
And you and your brother just sort of observed, and that's what really helped drive you to where you are.
Right. I would definitely say that that's the case.
Yes. And so you're involved in so many opportunities. Can you just briefly share that? Because I think that really will indicate how you are driven to achieve.
Sure. So I actually started practice in Hamilton in 2003 as an ophthalmologist. And before that, I was always involved in activities right from childhood. I was involved in multiple groups, multiple initiatives. That was just something that, as I mentioned earlier, I always enjoyed doing. When I started in Hamilton, we actually were having our residency program in ophthalmology come about in 2005, so I was very much involved with developing that along with some other key people. And through the years, evolved in leadership roles in ophthalmology, and also developed some more external interests as well. So in addition to involvement in academia at McMaster, I've been involved in different roles at St. Joseph's Healthcare Hamilton as well. Right now I'm president of the Medical Staff Association there. In ophthalmology, I'm division head at McMaster. And more recently, I founded Docs in Leadership, which is an organization about physician leadership development. And then there are volunteer opportunities as well. So I'm involved with Zonta International, which is a women's advocacy organization, and I'm on their United Nations committee, so I had an opportunity to visit the UN as well for that. So
wow.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of time to sit around doing nothing, clearly, but how do you find balance when you're driven to do all this?
That's a challenge at times, I have to admit. I love being engaged, and when I am involved in something, I get fully involved in something. I'd have to say that the key aspect on that is planning.
Planning.
Yes, planning is very, very important, and then prioritizing as well. So family is the most important thing to me, of course, as it is for most of us, if not all of us.
Yes.
And so making sure that there's enough time to spend with my husband, with my parents, our children, and extended family as well, my brother when he's around as well. He lives in the States at the moment, but that's very much a priority of mine. And then, of course, work as well and different initiatives there. I find that planning really does become key. Otherwise, there's no way to be able to be involved in everything in the way that I like to be involved.
Yes, yes.
So.
And so that's sort of grounding for you, keeping that time planning for your
Yes.
time away from work as well, keeps it strong and healthy.
Right.
And you talked a lot earlier when you were talking about many of the roles that you've had and that are currently involved in about leadership. So I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think is a key descriptor of a good leader?
I believe that a good leader has many different qualities. Being authentic, being honest, having integrity, being real, those are key elements. I'd say the most important quality, though, would be to be an authentic communicator. And the reason I think that's most important is because that stems many different areas. So to be able to inspire your team members, to be able to demonstrate that these are the ethics and values that you believe in, I think all of those things really do show that a leader is effective and able to bring about a team dynamic that's very productive. Actions speak louder than words. So a lot of the times what we say is important, but also what we do is important. And so I think consistency within that communication is also key. You can take communication and just bridge it into so many different areas, but ultimately that, I think, demonstrates the values and beliefs of a leader.
Yes, and you and I have had great discussions on emotional intelligence and how important that is in building and facilitating your team as well. But I'm curious to ask you about what it is you do specifically to, I know you have a very strong team, but what is it that you do with them to help them want to achieve more? So many times today people are just coming to work every day and, checking in, checking out, but to really have a solid team and to take your group to the next level, you really have to focus on meeting their needs and helping them achieve and want more. And how do you do that?
So I think, first of all, I've been very mindful about creating a certain culture in my team, my office specifically, if we look at it, and in any team that I've actually interacted with. And what I mean by culture is I try to always create and foster an environment where people feel like they're valued, they're being heard, their opinions matter, that they matter. So, taking the time at the start of the day to say, how are you? How was your weekend? What's your life like? Obviously, you can't spend hours and hours talking about things like that.
Yes.
But having some genuine sharing and concern for one another, I think, really is important. I also believe that supporting your team in their own development is also key, so that it feels like we're all in it together, that we're all moving towards our goals and objectives together, and that we're all trying to support and nurture each other's development. So for my team, for example, if there are opportunities for training, I like to get them involved with that. A lot of the leadership initiatives I'm involved in now, I'm engaging them within that. They see what I'm doing and are involved in what I'm doing, so that it becomes a very much a team effort that way.
Yes. Well, they can actually have your back when they know what your needs are and where you're going. Mm-hmm. When we don't communicate and tell the people we work with what our needs are, when we're not vulnerable, then it's hard for them to help and work together. And when they see you that way, as you talked about being authentic, then they know that you're a human being just like them. You're their boss, but you care about them and you want them to succeed as much as they'll want you to succeed when they realize that. Mm-hmm. That's great. So a question that I ask so many people about, something I've struggled with for a long time, and I would say I'm a reformed perfectionist. But I'm going to ask you, would you consider yourself a perfectionist?
I think I struggle with that quite a bit. In fact, funny, I was thinking about this, and I was reflecting on my medical school interview when they asked me the same question, and how one of the examples that I gave is when I make pizza at home, I like to have my mushrooms equally displaced on the pizza.
Okay.
So very much a trait that I have. I would like to think that I'm becoming more reformed as well. I think
Yes.
as time is going on, I'm realizing, and you've written about this as well, that it's not about being perfect, it's about constant improvement.
Yes.
And I'm seeing that not only does that make things a lot more relaxed and enjoyable, but you actually end up becoming more productive that way as well. So,
Yes. Well, as we know, perfectionism is impossible, but a journey to excellence, on that journey, there's no need for perfectionism, because when we're always working to the best of our abilities, we're going to get there, and we're always going to be getting a little bit better every day.
yes, that's true.
That's good. So, yeah, so you join the same club I'm in.
Yes,
Reform
absolutely. We
perfectionism.
are
That's
very
great.
much members
That's
together.
great. Well, we're going to go to break right now. When we come back, we're going to be hearing about Dr. Ahuja's new passion, Docs and Leadership.
Demazenador is proud to be a part of the emergency food system, providing Christmas and emergency food supports for people in need over the holiday season. Demazenador Outreach is a registered non-profit ministry of St. Patrick Parish in inner city Hamilton. We serve those affected by mental health, addiction, homelessness, and extreme poverty, those who have fallen through the cracks and are affected by marginalization. We serve 2 meals daily, 7 days a week, and offer a barbecue every Friday. We receive no government funding, but are supported solely through the generosity of those who want to make a difference. We rely heavily on our large volunteer base of 120 plus. We provide a festive meal on Christmas Day, as well as a sit-down meal on the first Sunday in January, along with gift bags for all. We are in need of donations. If you would like to donate financially, please visit our website or contact our office.
If you are ready to play, we are ready to pay. Kiwanis TV Bingo is coming your way. Pick up those $3 bingo cards at any one of almost 200 vendors around the Hamilton community. Tune into Cable 14 on Monday nights at 7 p.m. and win cash. Over $150,000 up for grabs this season. You won't want to miss it. Break a dabber.
Why is it vital to care? Because not everyone gets to go home this holiday season. Your donation to Hamilton Health Sciences Foundation funds vital medical equipment and can make a real difference for patients like me. Give the greatest gift of all, the gift of health. Double your impact today at giftofhealth.ca.
We're back with Dr. Nina Ahuja to talk about her newest passion, Docs and Leadership. So tell us about it. What's the big secret?
So Docs and Leadership is an organization that I founded in February of 2019. It's a passion project, actually, about promoting physician leadership education. So I had started practice in Hamilton 2003, as I mentioned earlier, and have been involved in numerous leadership positions over the years. What's been interesting about it is that I've had the opportunity to work with many physician leaders and observe how they lead and how effectively they lead. They have varying leadership capacities in that regard, as we all do. I'm also always a work in progress on that. I've had the fortune of working with some very effective leaders that I've learned a lot from and have been able to work on various initiatives with. And there have also been some leaders who could be more effective.
Yes.
Recognizing the fact that we don't get formal leadership training in medical education, I felt that it was very important to bring this forward. And that's how Docs and Leadership really originated.
Wow, that's great. Now, I'm assuming that there are other programs that provide training. And what's the difference between Docs and Leadership and the other programs that are out there?
The difference with Docs and Leadership is that the curriculum that's being developed is being developed by a physician. So I'm taking experiences that I've faced in the first line, on the front line rather, as well as experiences that colleagues have faced, and drawing together a curriculum based on need from someone who's engaging in the system at the provider level. For example, the current program being delivered through McMaster's Continuing Health Sciences Education Office is entitled Healthcare Leadership for Physicians Fundamentals. It's got two themes, one being health system literacy, the other being emotional intelligence. So it's really trying to make us as leaders more aware of the context within which we're working, and then also our leadership styles and communication to try to be effective in our capacities.
That's great. It's very intense training when you think about, many have been working in the field for a long time, and to continue on and to want to continue to grow is excellent. But is it just your training? Is it just for physicians?
It's not just for physicians, no. It's originally, when I was developing the program, it was with the physician leader in mind. Yes. Having said that, we're very much collaborating with fellow healthcare professionals and fellow leaders who are also non-healthcare in background. Right. And so the curriculum is open to anyone. In fact, we're in the process of developing a certificate program for healthcare leadership development, which is going to be open to all professionals who are interested in getting more insight in that regard. The idea really is to make things collaborative so that we feel comfortable working with one another, understanding one another's perspectives. It just so happens that Docs in Leadership is coming from a physician developer in that sense.
I see. And so then you learn together, you train together, and within the sessions you're not segregated.
That is the vision moving forward. This year it is primarily physicians involved in the program, but
Right.
that's how it was originally presented.
Right.
But having seen the level of interest as well, and with the vision of wanting to collaborate with everyone, I think, as it evolves, as all
Yes.
initiatives do, I would love to see it open up to fellow health professionals as well and other leaders within the system.
And as you said, it's relatively new, just February of this year, so you're going to be tweaking and moving along.
Yes. Yes. The key is that it's filling the space of continuing education for health
Yes.
professionals, where you don't necessarily have to do an MBA, or you don't have to do a master's in health leadership or education in that sense, but it's that bridge between those people who are really interested in heavy academics versus those who are on the front line and not exposed to much. This is sort of that happy medium in between.
Yeah, that's exciting. So obviously the outcome is going to make a difference in patient care. And what's your vision on that?
Yes, my vision on that is if we can become more effective in our involvement as leaders in discussions for policy making, for example, or even just in how we run our practices and how we engage with patients, I believe that this sort of involvement and development will actually improve systems at all of those levels. So, for example, the day-to-day patient interaction. If we understand how we're coming across and what modes of communication speak most to our patients, that can impact their quality of care. Right. At more of an organizational level, if we understand, the vision, the mandate, the processes within an organization, we can learn how to engage within the organization to be able to bring forward ideas to help improve systems and contribute to their mission. And then same thing at the system level. If we understand the different perspectives of the various stakeholders, then we can engage in a way where other stakeholders feel like, okay, we get it as well, and they also in turn understand where we're coming from. So to me, impacting systems at all of those levels ultimately does impact patient care.
Yes, you're all moving towards the same directive.
Exactly.
Yes, from different perspectives. That sounds really exciting. Now, tell me a little bit more about the programming, because I know that it's just starting new this year, but it's going to be offered on a regular basis, or how's that going to work?
Yes, so I'm presently working with the Continuing Health Sciences Education Office at McMaster University to create a certificate program in healthcare leadership. Right. It's a 3-year program that's being established. The first being a fundamental series, which is like what was delivered this year. The next layer will build into leader, and then the next layer will build into executive. And so right. with each of those levels, we'll be hitting curriculum that's targeting each of those areas so that you can get engagement and development at levels depending on what your interest is. It won't be a requirement that you have to sign up for the entire certificate program. You can take few courses, you can take 1 year at a time, but if there is interest to actually complete a certificate designation or program rather, the opportunity is going to be there for that. So that's one area of programming that's being developed more formally. On the informal side, I'm actually also presenting a blog which is going to be more of a practical perspectives on an informal discussion basis, where hopefully that'll engage people in some dialogue and just address the issues as they are and see where we can go with it to move forward together.
So like sort of putting out some thoughts and questions and hoping to get feedback on
yes,
what are people thinking and feeling.
Right.
That's great. So that'll help you, that kind of background information will help you in developing and moving forward with your program.
Yes, I think that'll help in developing programs. I think that'll also help, my hope is that it'll also help people engage and talk about the issues as they really are on the front line. A lot of times I find that things become very high level and we lose touch with what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
And so bringing those perspectives together too, I think is going to be very valuable.
Yeah. And we talked about this earlier during the break, but how challenging it is sometimes for a professional like yourself who has a schedule, a sort of a daily mandate, and trying to be real and authentic, as you talked about the first segment of the show. When you have patients who you really want to share your message with. And so how challenging do you find that when you want to be that authentic person, how are you today, and chat, but also do the work you need to do when you see them? How do you find that challenge?
It is challenging. As we know, the patient demand for care is very real, especially
Yes.
as the population is aging and the number of doctors we have, we certainly could use more.
Yes.
What I find is helpful to me is I think there's a lot to be said and there's lots to connect with just through simple gestures. So looking someone in the eyes and smiling at someone, asking like, okay, you were dealing with this issue before, how are you doing with that? The reality of day-to-day practice, unfortunately, is that we're often rushed and busy because,
Yes.
While we want to connect with people, there are lots of people waiting, and often
Yes.
waiting times are long, whether you're in offices, emergency rooms, or wherever, really. But I do think that, taking that time to just connect is important, and even if it's by way of, like I said, making eye contact, being kind, listening to someone.
Yes.
If you have to take a few extra moments that will ultimately delay your day, those moments matter to people. And
Yes.
it's not just to them, those moments matter to me as a physician as well, because I really genuinely do care about my
Yes.
patients, and I think all physicians do. That's why we go into medicine, and all healthcare professionals really feel that way.
Yes.
That's why we do what we do. But it is challenging. It's the demands and realities of day-to-day
Yes.
practice.
And being
are
empathetic
challenging.
is important. Now, have you ever been in the position, I'm just curious, of a patient, so that you actually were able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and has it changed how you might operate moving forward? Have you ever had a situation?
I'm a patient myself, actually.
Yes.
So that definitely adds perspective for me. I've had some health issues that I've dealt with over the years, and so I've seen both sides of the interaction. I'm fortunate to have wonderful physicians, but especially with things like electronic medical records coming in and the doctor facing the computer and entering the notes that I'm saying, I feel that disconnect. And so to me, I recognize the value of maintaining the human element in that interaction.
Yes, so important.
Which is so important and yet so challenging because, also record keeping is important, and electronic medical records involves a digital platform, and you can't get away from that either. So
Yes.
I think some of the challenges we'll be facing is how do you maintain those efficiencies and draw those into the system while still maintaining meaningful interactions with our patients so they feel connected and really cared for in those limited time frames as well, which is a reality, unfortunately, that we all face.
Yes, yes. But it's just important to be able to be connected to those feelings and thoughts. And I think that because when you walk in somebody else's shoes, literally, you can actually, how they feel, and that waiting and all those things. So that's good. That really brings it back home, so you can actually understand how hard it is. And when you say, I'm sorry you had to wait so long, you know how they feel. And,
Yes.
and when you've been there and you've done that, and when you talk authentically, people know that you're genuine. And that, as you said, a few nods and a few words makes all the difference.
I believe so, and I hope that it comes across as a sincere expression as well, because from my perspective, it really is.
Yes, you are being sincere.
Yes, I am being sincere.
And you do care. So in 10 seconds, what would you say your vision for Docs and Leadership is 3 years from now?
I would love to see Docs in Leadership as an organization that's recognized for really trying to make a difference and bring positive change forward in collaboration with other professionals. I would love for it to be a forum for people to really feel that they can express how they feel as practitioners within the system, and even as receivers of the care that we provide from a patient perspective. I would just love to see it being a totality of experience from a very ground roots level.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a very insightful discussion today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Business Wellness in Hamilton. I'm host Linda Marshall, and we'll see you next time.